Tattoo artists of Reddit, what is the most fucked up thing you've tattooed?
Not a professional artist, but my brother-in-law had Jerry rigged up a tattoo gun in the garage out of a hand fan, an eraser, Bic pen and a sharpened guitar string. Friend wanted to get a quote from Che Guevara, "I'd rather die on my hands than live on my knees," or something along those lines. Needle broke after the first tee, so dude left our house with a fresh-eyed rat tat.
Tattooist here. The list is long, but the one that made me laugh the most that I've done is Wil E, Coyote's arm poking out of a dude's butt, holding a sign that said help.
A dude, who was a regular customer at an old job, got a scorpion on one forearm and a tarantula on the other. Only their heads were replaced by Beavis and Butthead edit. The lines and details for the arachnid bodies were blown out a bit and blurred. Beavis and Butthead were mostly intact.
I put 667 on a dude's forehead for him. Neighbor of the beast.
I'm a detox nurse. A patient had a dick tattooed on the back of his shin so he could tell people he had addiction. Addiction. Not making that up, lol.
In prison I knew a guy with half his name scribbled backwards on his forehead. The only explanation I could come up with was he was tattooing himself in the mirror, and halfway through realized it was coming out backwards to everyone, so called it quits.
Had a woman come into the shop one time way back who looked like she'd been in a tanning booth 8 days a week for the last 40+ years. She wanted to get her locked up man's name tattooed on her, but she wanted it down there. She convinced me to get way closer to her jukebox than I was comfortable with, and had me tattoo Billy Jack's pussy so far up in there that I think we're common law related now. Name slightly changed for anonymity. Best part is that a couple weeks later Billy Jack called me from prison, tell me how much he loved the tattoo. It was a collect call too. God damn it. Thanks for bringing that memory back. I was almost over it, lol.
I used to work with a guy who had a tattoo on the side of his body that was a woman squatting over a pond full fire hydrant pissing into it. Inside the pond was floating decapitated heads. When I asked him WTF was this, he told me that the woman was his ex, and the heads were all his kids. I asked why is she pissing on them, and he told me he has a piss fetish.
I was a piercer for a few years at a local shop. During my first year of my apprenticeship, we had a younger, 20-something male who had come in to get his forehead tattooed. I handled majority of the paperwork for the tattoo artists at the time as well, and he had requested the word foobar to be done. He went back into the booth with the artist at the time and was told to come back the next day after he slept on it because it's permanent, and we wanted to make sure he was 100% certain. To all our dismay, he returned the next day to proceed with the tattoo. He had told us while getting tattooed that it was payback to his mother for favoring his older brother their whole life, and he wanted to return the favor of how much she fucked up his life. I'll never forget the smile on his face as he walked out the door.
Girl had a dream about marrying a dolphin. She got a tattoo of her as a mermaid, rising from the water in an embrace with the dolphin. Halfway through, after hitting on me the whole time and telling me stories about an abusive ex, she started arguing about the color scheme and left with only the outline and some shading.
My friend's mom got a Mustang car that transitions into horses. Just like one of the basic infinity tattoos that turns into birds, but with a car and horses.
I once tattooed nipples on a guy's butt cheeks, so his ass would look like tits.
The mentor I apprenticed under once put the word trust on someone's dick. To pick up girls. Hey baby, can I put my trust in you?
My tattoo artist told me he made a snake out of a guy's dick, scales covering the whole thing. Different strokes for different folks. Pretty gnarly.
My brother lost a bet in a frat house, had to get a tattoo of a ladder on his rear end going towards his anus.
Tattooed a Jack Skellington head the size of a dinner plate on a girl's lower back. Tried to talk her out of it cause she was young and tiny, but she insisted. I feel lachrymose.
Not a tattoo artist, but my son has the entry stamp from his favorite nightclub tattooed on his forearm. It got him free entry for a full week before his friend stole the club stamp, and they bought a new, different stamp.
My uncle had tattooed on his penis doc, after his numerous after-shore leave to get his penicillin shots.
A zombie wearing a purple basketball jersey hacking a guy's arm off, and vomiting. The guy is also vomiting up at the zombie, and the strings of the two are meeting in the middle. I've also done a cartoon fish being choked by another fish's poo. The choking fish is trying to unravel the poo. At the top of the sleeve, there's a first holding an aquarium net. 2 crossed joints over a Jamaican flag, and the smoke forms the date of the first time he smoked weed on a cruise. With his parents.
My wife knew someone in school who was in a big hurry to get their first tattoo, and it turned out it was of a surfing pig.
Worked with a guy that was changing his shirt one time, and he had a big elephant head on his stomach and the trunk disappeared below his belt line. He saw my notice, and without me saying anything just nodded and said, "Yep."
My friend has a tattoo on his calf of a sperm whale with a throbbing cock coming, and under the tattoo it says "You're welcome."
One of my drunk friends poorly tattooed the words "your name" onto the ass cheek of another drunk friend. Also, he could use that "I've got your name" tattooed on my ass line.
I know a guy with a tattoo of the Queen getting fucked by a horse that is getting rear-ended by Prince Harry. Safe to say the dude had issues. Edit, for the curious.
Matching his/hers tattoos on this couple. He was a co-worker's of my wife's, and I told her that he'd come in with his girlfriend. She say, "You mean wife?" No, definitely a new relationship. His wife was at home with the kids. Aside from that, nothing terribly wild. I did a small portrait of Donald Glover, in white face. That's pretty ridiculous.
When I was getting one of my tattoos, the artist showed me this horrific piece he was begrudgingly working on for a client. It was a big arm tribal piece, and mixed in the tribal were little guys lifting weights. It was for a gym bro.
I saw a guy who got tattooed a giant square on the forehead.
Not an artist. While I was getting some ink done, this group of guys come in and chat up one of the artists. They are all pretty chummy, and the guy asks to see my ink. After he looks at the piece I'm getting done, his artist friend suggests he show me his new masterpiece that he did for the guy. This guy takes off his shirt and turns around, just grinning his ass off with pride. There before me was a full back piece, displaying 3 cloaked and hooded members of the KKK. It had burning crosses, what looked like people hanging from trees, and the 3 clan members. I had another artist down the road finish my work, and avoided that parlor after that.
Not a tattoo artist, but once in jail, I held 12D batteries in a rolled-up newspaper to power a homemade tattoo machine while a friend tried tattooing the word king on his dick. He made the first stroke on the K and decided it's hurt too much and that it would make a nice cross instead. LMAO.
Tinkerbell fucking a light switch. I didn't do it, an old coworker did. It turned out well, but geez,